everyone, welcome back to Binge Time, where we get into the nitty gritties of new and upcoming movies and TV shows. I'm your host, Riley, and I'm here with
Chloe.
this week's movie is Next Top Model, a new documentary on Netflix.
A special thanks to Silver Sky Woodworking for their support of our channel. Without them, it would be impossible to record this. If any of our listeners need custom furniture, accent walls, cutting boards, or custom cabinets, they should head over to viridiannews.org and click the link for Silver Sky. Another sponsor for our podcast today is Legacy Lawn Care. If your lawn looks rough, you should hit up Legacy Lawn Care for the summer season. Now, if you haven't taken your senior pictures yet, it's never too late to hit up Katie Studios for some professional looking pictures. Okay.
I'm sure if you were, in your living room, probably late or early 2000s, maybe your mom, sister, family, brother, father were watching some reality TV shows on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think this show was on a lot of the time, especially with
Yes.
my mom.
Yes.
I always remember her watching it, especially like when I was younger.
Right. Me too.
And obviously, like as a girl, like I was so admired by all these like girls that were like having model careers. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, they're so gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
I want to do that. And it's just crazy to think like all the shows that were popular like
Mhm.
at this time. Thinking about it now, they were kind of crazy to think about. Like they were very intense shows.
They were. Yes.
But
Cause it's funny, cause growing up, like Riley said, our mothers would mostly watch it. It was like crack. Like, sorry, excuse my language, but it was like very, very addictive. I would say for families, like, and mostly females, just watching the show and all of that. And I feel like, with Tyra Banks, like she was powerful, successful supermodel who was giving these young girls a chance to become models and a chance to break into the modeling industry. I feel like, um, and just watching the documentary, it kind of brought back like some nostalgia a little bit. I hope I said that right. But it brought it back because I was like, oh my gosh, I remember watching these when I was young, and this is crazy how we're getting to see the behind the scenes of how it all came together. What do you think?
yeah, and I remember like when I was younger, I would be like watching it, watching the photo shoots, like seeing these girls go through like makeovers and like how their like life would change essentially. And looked at it with like such pure intentions, just
Right.
because like to me it was just like they're finally getting an opportunity to like get the career they always wanted or whatever.
Yep.
But the other day, like when I saw it like pop up for like reality check, like that's
Mhm.
already kind of the name already is like whoa, like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
actually happened behind the scenes. And honestly, like it was very harsh. Like it was a
Yes.
harsh.
Like watching the documentary
show.
now, it's like it feels more like complicated than what we thought it was.
Yeah.
And hearing Tyra's point of view, because I didn't even know she was like the one who started the show. Like I didn't know it was her idea. I just thought she was just
I
a
just thought she
judge.
got pulled in.
Yeah, me too. So watching the documentary and hearing like her vision for the show was just to open the world up to different possibilities of beauty. But then we had how like she would control the entire narrative. Like for example, one of the ladies who was present in the documentary, Danielle Evans, she spoke about she was she had a gap during her time on the show and was forced to close the gap or she was going to be sent home. And so it's like your version of like America's Next Top Model was someone who's like, out there, who's different, who is, an example for others of what beauty should look like. But then at the same time, they were being forced to fit a certain like mode just so they could be more marketable or, just because of their gap. But then in the next season, they had a girl with a gap get her gap even wider because now y'all wanted that to be the center of attention. So that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, and it was crazy because like they would, especially with most of the girls, it was their pictures would be great, and a lot of the time you would see that they had like certain storylines. Like it got to a point where they cared about the entertainment, which obviously yes, most of the time if like reality, like they're looking for a story to stretch out a little bit longer, see where it takes them, which like totally understandable, understand that, but it does come to a point where it's like if you see a girl like and her photos are genuinely good and you see that she has the potential to become a model and take that career to where it can, and then but you have a story and you choose that girl over that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy to me, like, to think about, like, they got to a point where they were just doing it for the story at that time. And honestly, like, if you think about it, these girls would come in thinking that they have like this grand opportunity to have like
so
this,
excited.
Top model career. And obviously it came like, it wasn't, most of these reality TV shows are doing like, oh, like you get money and like, or you get this, you get that. But like, this is a genuine career that they could have brought them out of wherever they were. And honestly, looking back, I honestly just saw it as like a 50-50 shot. Like,
Right.
but it really wasn't. Like, both options were kind of bad because you either go on the show and get embarrassed and you get an eating disorder out of it, or, you go out and leave with all these things that you think are now ugly or bad or whatever it was, because that's how they portrayed it on the show. And you leave knowing thousands of thousands of people have watched you just embarrass yourself on the show, or you leave with a slim chance of having a career and it doesn't even get taken anywhere because you're from a reality TV show. That was crazy to me.
That was and one of the this brings me back to one of the contestants, Shandy. She spoke about how she didn't feel loved at home, and she thought coming to the show was a chance for her to like make it and find her thing, or her her thing. And the fact that that's where she felt least protected, and she was exposed and no one was there to like show her or try to help her out. It's like she left with even more like mental distress and more emotions, like just being all over the place. And I thought that was like kind of crazy. And when you spoke about the winning the success after going on the show, and it kind of messes up with your reputation because people see a different light of you, it reminds me of Adrienne Carey. She was like one of the winners for one of the seasons, and she was very vocal about how her time on the show, although she won, she didn't really get to where she thought she was going to be at. She won, she was excited, she was like, okay, I'm gonna get top modeling agencies. None of that happened. So now it kind of like brings us up to, is winning really the actual path to success? Like, does it actually put you up for success? Because someone like Adrienne did not get the opportunity that she deserved to make it in the modeling industry. Like, so yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Shani Sullivan. I'm pretty sure her last name is. So a little bit background. One episode, there was a girl named Shandy. She came in. The girls were asked to go to Italy or Paris, one of the two. And they had like one of their off days, like after a shoot. And they had some of the guys that were at the shoot come in, and they just like hot tub, kind of everything was filmed, like whatever. I guess some of the girls, like, their experience kind of got whatever, and Shandy and this guy, I guess, went to one of the rooms or whatever, and she ended up getting like sexually assaulted by this guy, and the whole thing was recorded. And it was filmed. Not a single person stepped in or thought to like, assess the situation at all, which is like insane to me, because you could see at that point they were more worried about the drama, the dramatics of it all, which is like true. Like, yes, you're getting revenue from the show, and it's probably going to make it more interesting, because that honestly, that one shot is still talked about to this day, which obviously clearly we're talking about it, so obviously it made for the show. But it was just crazy to see like her then having to call her boyfriend back home, and like the emotional trauma that she still has from this day. Like, she couldn't talk about it in the interviews as much as she wanted, and it's just crazy to think like that 1 5-second clip that we saw was practically the trauma of her
of
that whole life.
Yeah.
Like, it's just insane to think about.
I think the emotional what's it called? The emotional pressures were insane and very intense. And it's like the show was kind of thriving off of like breaking people down and like trying to like talk about their flaws, mainly just pushing towards their flaws and not how they could be better or anything like that. And it's like watching that now, and looking back at what we have now for TV shows, I don't even know if this show would have been canceled. Like,
Oh,
first,
100%.
second episode would have been over with.
I don't even think they would have
Over
gotten to
with,
that.
yes. But that's the funny thing is in the early 2000s, stuff like that being, very blunt, no filter, being rude, being honest with, like, not caring how it came off was a thing with TV shows, not only America's Next Top Model, but like with Survivor, with other Biggest Loser, people were going through the extreme. And so watching America's Next Top Model, it's like they were trying to, catch up to what was being
it's all competition.
Yes. But then with Shandy, I would say Tyra being,
it's kind of stepped a line.
Right. And it's like with Tyra being the producer or whatever she was, it was expected of her to, be more understanding, because she kind of downplayed how much power she had, but she really did have power to control the narrative. But
100%.
she rather kept playing off of it and like kept pushing it, especially after what happened with Shandy. She was trying to give off like, big sister, I care about you, but then it was passive aggressive, like the first few conversations that she had with Shandy, and like talking about how I would never cheat on my person, I would never do this, knowing what Shandy had been through. It was pretty obvious how emotional she was about her actions and how she regretted it. And a comment that Shandy made was that after they filmed her conversation with her boyfriend, the camera dude or something was like,
the crew.
Yeah, the crew. No, one of the camera guys was like, I'm sorry that we had to film this.
Yeah, like you knew it was
like
wrong.
You knew it was wrong. You knew at that moment it wasn't right to kind of expose her in her darkest times. But at the end of the day,
it is a paycheck.
Yeah, it is a paycheck, and it's your job, and you can't say no to it. And it's what people wanted to see, and people kept watching the show like it was normal. So they were feeding into what the audience wanted, which was crazy stuff like that.
I do think, like, obviously looking back, the 2000s is obviously a completely different time than it is now. Like, a lot of people are very sensitive about certain topics, especially now. But I do think, like, yes, take into consideration that it was a different timeline and a different era back then. But also, like, I wouldn't say we could bet all of it on that, just because if you look back, like, there's certain things you could see that is wrong.
Yes,
like, in that moment,
yes.
I'm sure they saw, like, even the judges half the time said, looking at it, and in the moment,
back,
they were like, yeah, we saw it was wrong, but, like, it was a show.
It didn't hit us until later
it didn't hit
on.
Us. And it's like, so when you did the one cycle that I do, like, 100% remember every single part is when they had to switch ethnicities. Okay? Because watching that, as a young girl, okay, I was so confused. Because obviously no one is doing that.
Yeah, that was funny to me. I'm so sorry.
Right. And obviously, like, certain people, yes, could laugh on it. And obviously it did, hit some buttons for a lot of people. But it was just crazy to think, like, that would never be welcomed in society.
In this
now.
society,
like,
yes.
And I do like at the fact that even the judges, like Nigel Barker and Jay Manuel and Miss J as well, they were brought up with the whole show. Like, they were helped create the show. Like,
right.
And they were honestly probably the reason why it took off a lot of the time, because Miss J and Jay Manuel were one of the most loved people from the show, just because they were, it was the duo, Miss J and Jay.
And it's funny because Tyra and, Miss J and the other
Jay Manuel.
Yeah, they made a comment about how anytime they would go places with Tyra, they were more recognized and, appreciated than Tyra was, because people didn't really notice Tyra. They mainly focused on
the show was them.
And they were the main people. I mean, I would always pay attention to them too, not gonna lie.
They were hilarious.
They were funny.
So funny.
They were so funny, and they kind of helped out with the girls. I feel like they were more emotionally available with the girls than any other person was. And it's funny how normalized everything was back then, with mental health going on and everything. But now that we are more aware of mental illness and, mental health and representation, it's like it kind of hits you differently. And I think that's what the kind of reflection the judges had looking back, like, whoa, I can't believe we said this. And the photographer, what's his name?
Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel. He was talking about how he made a comment with one of the girls because, okay, this one contestant was like doing a photo shoot on being shot like in the head.
Oh, and her mom
yes,
was shot.
And mind you, her mom had been shot
like previously too, going on to the show.
And so she basically is paralyzed. So she already has trauma from that. And then they took that.
That was
made
insane.
Her, and then made her pose up as a dead person. And Nigel made a comment and was like, yeah, you look pretty dead in that picture. So that was good. And he said, looking back, he realizes how insane it was. But in that moment, nothing seemed wrong to him. Because it's like, y'all keep saying the most outrageous stuff that even the thing that is considered outrageous is like nothing. It's like whatever. It's brushed over. And that was just insane.
But it was crazy to think because, like, the girls would come in and they would be like, okay, what's your worst fear? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, spiders. I hate spiders. Like, I would cry if I had a spider.
And then they would
the
let
next
them
photo shoot would be, oh, guys, like, you have to post these 100 million spiders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it was like, this show was more like tearing these girls down than doing them good and leaving them more scarred than they already were.
Yeah, it was definitely more entertainment for the people watching.
Right.
And obviously, like, harmful and probably traumatic for the girls that were on the show. And honestly, if you think about it, a lot of them now, I didn't realize how few of them actually are involved in the modeling industry now.
Like, I didn't even know these people until, again, I watched, I was like, who are you? And then I had to go back, I was like, oh.
I'm like, oh, you're so-and-so.
You're right.
But it was crazy because, like,
crazy.
at that last episode, like, of the documentary, like, it showed, like, oh, like, what are you doing now? And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm a teacher. I do this. And I'm like, oh, y'all are out here living
paths, right?
Yeah, y'all are not even worried about that. But it makes me wonder, is it because of how it ended?
It probably is, because like I said, with some of the contestants that did win, very few of them got the push into the modeling industry than they expected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that made them like, okay, if this is not working out, I mean, you're gonna have to figure something else.
Right.
You know? And sometimes the past trauma and all of that also did mess with others, and it made them like reconsider if this was what they wanted to get into long term.
Right.
So that obviously changed their mind and changed their career paths, which is why most people are either unrecognizable or like they're just not doing it at all. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
But no, I definitely would recommend this as a watch.
Yes,
like, especially if you even like see clips on TikTok or like whatever. Like, this show honestly took me for a whirlspin. Like, honestly, like looking back, yes, it was maybe controversial or whatever, but it was still entertainment.
It was
like,
really entertaining.
It was purely for entertainment purposes.
We can't only blame the show, because at the end of the day, we were still watching it. We were enjoying it.
Yes.
Right. And, you know, the documentary was definitely needed, because way before this documentary, obviously, there were memes, there were clips of the show on TikTok of some outrageous things that were, So it's like, this was the perfect time to release a documentary, because we needed an explanation. Like, what was this? And I think we also kind of now have a deeper understanding on, okay, this is why they did this and that. But at the same time, it was completely wrong, and
100%,
you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I
but
would say y'all should watch it. It's 100%. Really good.
Go give us a watch
really,
on Netflix.
Really good.
It's like a couple episodes, and honestly, it just gives you kind of a different view of the kind of inside scoop that we've always wanted to know. And honestly, it's just a good watch.
It really is.
Do you want to wrap us up?
Yes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on today's episode of Binge Time. What time is it?
Binge time.